If you didn't watch the first video, River House 60 Wide Road Part 1, you're probably going to want to do that. But just to refresh our memory, this is our piece of property here. This is the Montana Cadastral data, and I've just got it superimposed over a satellite picture. The blue is where the current log house that we've spent so much time on. The yellow, more or less, is where the building site is. And the red is where Shay and I are working, and the white is that valuable rock. And at issue, of course, is the widening of Highway 200. Now, in the first one, we talked about what we call the lower road option. That is to say, just going through and blasting out the current road. Looked at a little bit of what we stood to lose with that. This is the wild card option. Back in 1994-ish, the neighbors said that there were two things on the table. The first was simply widening the existing roadbed, and the other one was coming more or less straight from the mouth of the St. Regis cutoff to the big whirlpool on the other side of that white picket fence ranch. Just draw a straight line and take the road up into the mountains. And that's kind of what we're looking at today. That one is going to affect us huge. From this angle, you can unfortunately see what a serious impact widening the existing road is going to have on the poor neighbor. He is going to lose all of his work sheds down in there. And much like our land, his land isn't flat enough to put any more. That's really going to stink for him. Especially since I know the guy, and those are chock full of his collections and his projects that he's working on. You know, I mean, sure, they're made from bits of scrap, but a man's castle is his empire. It's heated and insulated, and he does really good restoration work out of there. It'll be a huge blow to him. Probably in another video, because it would have gotten too long. But I talked to you guys about the idea of them widening this lower road, and I showed you the two road locating pins and the scope of the project as far as going out that direction with the big cut and the cliffs and the oxbow and all of that. But when I talked with the neighbor, he said that in the 1990s, when they were doing this before, there were two possible routes. One of them widened the existing road, and one goes straight from the St. Regis cutoff through those fields, basically come over the top of this hill, more or less in line with the power lines, come down through here, take all of that material, dump it in the low spot, go straight through on the far side of this house, straight through what is our building site, and up and over the hill that way. Which might sound crazy, but it's actually what's been done on all of the roadbed on the tribe's land. Just go farther from the river, take the high spots, put them in the low spots, and give yourself a nice straight route with big sweeping corners. And this is one of the last little sections, about what, 10 miles from the cutoff to where the tribe's widened road interchange section is built over there. It's just through here. So if they did it over there, they might do it here. Of course, the downside's fairly dramatic. He's gonna lose everything. It's gonna take his house. According to what he had and described to me, it would not take this place, because that's what I'm worried about. But it would go essentially right through our building site. So, ixnay on the houseier. We'd lose everything we'd built so far. I'm sure I can dig up the septic tank and save that. But the drain field will be crap. That'll be done. No moving that around. And then what do I do? Now I have a little tickle in the back of my head if they abandon the 200 roadbed. And I would fight hard for that, though, as I explain later, not going to make me any friends. If they abandon the 200 roadbed, then I could build where Shay and I were working and have a house along the river. If they abandon the roadbed but leave it public access, leave it a public gravel road, then I probably couldn't build down there, if only because you're going to have, if this stops being a main road, you're going to have everybody and their brother pulling off and camping and chopping firewood and pooping in the woods. According to the neighbor, this upper road, and I don't know what they'd call it, that's what I'm referring to it, would come essentially right through here. They would cut the corner going to the St. Regis cutoff. They'd cut that corner, basically come straight up and over this ridge line and in through here. They'd use that material to fill in this dip, he said, between the two of us, and then come more or less right through here. Of course, that waterfall is right up there. Well, Big Canyon is right up there, and it seems odd that they'd want to try to go through it. If they cross it with a bridge, we're probably going to be okay. My guess is they're going to cross it by filling it with crushed rock. If they cross it by filling it with rock, we're gas train. We're in trouble, because the only scenario I don't see us more or less losing the ability to live here if they do the high road is if they abandon 200 and I can build down there. It's not my first choice, but if they don't abandon old 200 and they put the road through here, the only place I could put a house is where the current house is standing, and you'd have a highway slightly above and just moments behind you. You'd have a power line running through the center of it, so you couldn't build anything over there. That would not be awesome. That would not be awesome. That's a lot of elevation to gain, lose, and gain again. So speaking with a neighbor, Green Roof, from the time they were talking about this before, he said one of the lines came through right in through here. Standing here, it looks much more like you'd want to climb, I don't know who owns that, and it sucked to be them, but you'd want to climb that ridge line, gain altitude right there, and then come across right through here. That is quite a bit different than the line I drew on my little picture. This picture right here, you can see that doesn't show that curve, that arc. That is a rough estimate based on the descriptions of what the neighbor said were on the maps the last time they went through this in the early 1990s sometime. But it makes sense to come. But you're going to have to deal with the waterfall, which is unfortunately one of my favorite parts of the entire property. So this is the waterfall. At some point the river came through here, or a substantial part of it came right down through here, and it makes sense because that river is super deep. There's the road Shay and I were working on, and you can see some of our brush piles down in there. Alright? So it makes sense to me that they would come over this ridge right here and continue up through, because crossing that is going to be killer. Not that they don't have enough rock to dump in there, but they're going to need a lot of that rock for that approach over there and building a massive causeway right through the neighbor's house. If they were to try to bridge down through there and fill it with rock, we're probably in trouble. So you can see where the road, I can see that, where's my finger? That big field in the sun right there. The road skirts between it and the water. Right down around, and right down over there it goes onto the tribe's land. On the tribe's land, of course, the road is much farther back from the river, up in the hills where they could do it straighter. So as far as the possible route of the upper road, between us right here, right now, and say the house, you have got that massive canyon. Oh, I'm still zoomed in. Start over. So between the logical route for the upper road would be to cut that. You're cutting out a big jig right there, and you're cutting out that big jig right there. Just cut straight and tie in to what the tribe had done. So, in my opinion, just a layman, right? In my opinion, the upper road would probably come somewhere roughly through here. So you can see, this is a good line, you can see the neighbor's place. So according to him, the last time he saw it, you can see a truck going on the corner over there, and you can see the road corner. So what they want to do is cut this corner, come right through here, right through that field, and then start up this rock ridge, using that rock ridge to maintain elevation. The rock they take from there will build the on and off ramp, and they'll use it to bridge the neighbor's place. They will come between all of his sheds and his house, though he said that the plans had them taking so much of the front of the place, his house would have to be removed anyways. They would then come, use that material to fill in our little swampy grassy area between the two of us, and then start up here, drilling and blasting. So this seems to make really good sense. I mean, again, I'm a layman, but if I stand right there, I can see almost to the St. Regis cutoff, which is right over there. And I can see past the border of the tribe. Come on, find some focus. I can see past the border of the tribe out there. If you put a road straight through here, you legitimately could essentially come straight from the St. Regis cutoff. And that stretch of road has already been widened. And here is what is a little ominous. They stopped widening it just at that corner, as if this was the plan. Boom, straight through all of this. Straight through everything, right up through here, and then out. That would match the way the road looks on the tribe's land, where they took it and they moved it well back from the road, well back from the river, quite a bit back from the old Highway 200, although it meanders back and forth, quite a bit back from the old Highway 200, and just went up in the hills, shooting for long, straight stretch with graceful corners. So, standing up here really helps me understand why they might go. Holy crap, I mean, straight as an arrow. Boom. You make the turn there, and I can't remember what road that is, the junction of St. Regis and 200, and it would be a dead arrow straight shot all the way to where the road has been widened for the tribe out on the other side of the neighbor with the white picket fence and the big turnouts along the river. If you've driven the road, you know exactly what I'm talking about. we're going to lose a lot. The neighbors are going to lose everything. There might be an opportunity there for me to purchase, he says like he's got the money, but for me to purchase their land, if they are forced, it's tragic, right? But that would at least allow me to protect that little grotto of trees. Maybe they'd still want it. As you can see in the pictures I either have already shown you or I'm about to show you. Hey, there's the rock crusher and the excavator. A lot of it depends on, yeah, right through here, right up this ledge. A lot of it depends on, do they abandon the old roadbed? If they abandon the old roadbed, look at the whole place. I have redrawn my estimate of where that rope would go. And in this case, it's the gray line. And boy, she's straight. Just cut the apex of that canyon and you could really go for miles and miles and miles. As it is, obviously, we have no idea and won't have any idea for a while. When I talked to the survey company, they said they're looking at late spring. So that might mean late summer, it might mean years from now. I have no idea, but they do tell me that when it's done, I will be able to request a copy and show it to you guys. I'll put the house down there, right? And then there'd be nothing between me and the river, and we know that little section Shay and I have been cleaning is big enough. Well, not for the massive rambler that Danny wants, and you know, it'll have its own set of construction challenges, but absolutely doable. So if that's doable down in there, but that all depends. If they want to put this road and still keep the old roadbed, we're humped. We're absolutely humped. There would be no room for any of it. Absolutely humped. We'll lose it. We'll lose it.